Hey, I love keeping sheep. The health benefits are unbeatable, but they are not pets. They're livestock. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the 8 ways that we make sheep work for our property, either by saving us money or actually putting cash in our pockets. At the High Mountain Homestead, we're all about better soil, better plants, and better animals. So if that's up your alley, consider subscribing. But today, let's talk about how to make or save money with sheep. The first piece that I want to talk about is sheep actually cuts down on our chicken feed cost. So we have this chicken run right here that we kind of have a above ground compost system for our chickens. Wood chips on top. Very wet and warm compost beneath it. Works out really well. We also let them free range. We let them out. Get the zip line out of the way. We let them out that door and let them free range on the pasture. But sheep can actually help cut down on this cost. So anytime we have a ram butchered, we save everything we can. And a lot of the offal that we do not want to eat, we cook it and we give it to the chickens. A little bit sprinkled into their food. Some people are weary about feeding chickens meat. I think meat is fine for chickens, and I also think that I would go as far to say it is good for chickens, closest living relatives to the dinosaurs. But the offal from our sheep goes to the chickens, so awesome protein source there. And if you know anything about offal, you know that that the organ meat is just packed with nutrients, so give it to them, gets into our eggs, and tastes a little bit better than sheep liver. The other thing that we do, along with the offal, is we will save things like the skull. And what we do is when this is all snow, we throw a ram skull out on the back with these chickens right here. And it's really great because there are no bugs out. It's, freezing or below. And we're able to actually let that ram skull serve as a long-term meat option for the chickens. They just kind of pick off the flesh as the days goes on. There's no bugs. It's actually a pretty elegant situation if you can get past the fact that your backyard looks a little bit like an old Western film with a ram skull just hanging out in the ground. Okay, for the second way that sheep make us money, is an obvious one, but I'm taking you to my garage for it, my gross garage, that we sell the lamb, we sell the meat. Obvious one, right? But if you look right here, pretty much all this is from, not that Costco bacon, I think it's literally everything but that Costco bacon is from a single lamb. So tons of lamb chops, tons of ground lamb, various different roasts. So it's really nice to be able to sell lambs. They price really well, and the nice thing about sheep raising is I'm not paying for much besides grass and water. Okay, number 3, I talked about selling meat, eating it ourselves. So this is the stuff that's actually left over for us. So what we do, this is a ram that we had butchered. He ended up weighing 58 pounds, hanging weight. Again, disregard the bacon. And that was a lot of chops and roasts types of things. So what we're going to do, we have one more lamb that's going to go to butcher in about a month. And what we're going to do with that one is she's actually going to be, she's a cull ewe. Just not a great mom, and is not really producing a lot of milk. And it shows with her daughter. But we're going to turn her into just stew meat and ground lamb. So for us personally, I think what we'll do each year is 2 lambs are for us. 1, we'll do the full Monty on it and get everything cut up as you normally would. And then the other part is, the other lamb is just stew meat and ground lamb, because those are really common dishes. Okay, number 4, maybe an obvious one, pasture fertilization. Did you know that sheep manure has twice as much nitrogen in it as horse or cow? So if you know anything about growing grass, nitrogen is one of the best things you can to create new growth. When I moved onto this property, I'm not saying my pasture is great right now, but it was pretty garbage when we moved here. And One of the things that I've been working on is rotational system. We got that fence in place, but getting nitrogen on the soil. Not having to do nitrogen on this plot multiple times a year saves a lot of money. Again, sheep manure, twice as much nitrogen as cow or horse. All right, so a few suggestions or tips ago, I talked about eating the meat and selling the meat, but something else you can do with the meat is you can trade the meat, and that saves a lot. Hello, girls. They're all coming to say hey, but the sun's in my eyes, so I'm going to move this way. Lamb is an awesome flavored meat, and there's not as much of it to go around, especially Dorper, like these girls are, and their lambs are, just an incredible tasting meat. So a lot of people really want that, and so it's really nice to be able to trade them. So if you've got a friend that hunts and you don't, like I don't, and like I have some arrangements with some friends who, if they bag a deer or an elk, there's some kind of exchange that we can do. Same thing if you've got a friend in the pig business. Really nice to just be able to not have to raise all those animals or hunt all those animals, but enjoy the fruits of someone else's labor by trading with your own labor. Point number 6, selling these sheep at shows. So I raise a flock of full-blood registered Dorper. If you know anything about livestock, you know that registered animals cost more and sell for more than non-registered. Non-registered is usually called commercial flock. So this is great breeding stock. Selling them at a show can lead if you can prove the papers, which I can prove, really, really valuable. Just to put it in perspective, this girl right here, let's see if I can see, yep, her, and this one right here are my two ewes that we lambed this March. And their sire, who is not my ram, they just came covered from that sire. Their sire actually won best yearling ram, I think it was, in the western states for the Dorper Association. So that's awesome for my flock, right? So just to put it in perspective, they're full-blooded, or sorry, I shouldn't say full-blooded. Their relatives, I cannot even see with this dang sun. It's what happens when you film at like 6 p.m. in the fall. Here's a better one. So her almost identical genetics, same father and a very similar ewe, sold for $1,000. And I've got two just like that, both from right behind me here. So looking at $2,000 right there, if you were to sell it at a show. Now I don't have the facilities for that, so I shouldn't say facility. I don't have a trailer for that. Maybe one day. I don't really have a large flock, so I would probably partner with someone and give them a percentage of the sale if they help me get it out there. But that is one way to make some serious money from sheep, selling registered flock at an actual breed show. Okay, number 7, selling them locally. So this is a situation where if you have maybe some rams that you haven't registered, or a sheep that you thought you were going to keep, but it's actually more cull status, but you don't need the meat, selling them locally. So here in Utah, we've got something called KSL.com, basically like a local place where you can put classified ads on. Craigslist is all around, although I've never done Craigslist for livestock. I would imagine you have to really vet that. Tons of Facebook groups out there where you can find people locally. You probably won't make as much money as you would at a show. Papers might not be an issue for some people if they want to just do it commercially. So selling them locally is a good fit for some people. Okay, for number 8, we are back in the garage. And I wanted to show you something that is maybe the biggest money saver for us. And that is not the meat, not even the offal, but the bones. So these are some of the bones from there. This is enough to make a huge batch of bone broth. That's how I measure it, is in hugeness of batch. Actually, my wife is the bone broth master here. But bone broth is not cheap. If you buy it at the store, you're looking at $4 to $7 per serving of bone broth. And we're making it for, well, when the bones are free, you can call them free, I guess. When the bones are free, we're looking at, less than $1, like easily less than basically it's just leeks, onions, and carrots, and celery, and water, and the electricity it takes to run the slow cooker for a day and a half to make this. So really low price to be able to do this at home. And bone broth is so dang good for you. So love the fact that we're able to make bone broth in bulk a few times a year off of our very own lamb bones. And it's delicious too. Okay, bonus. Yes, I have a bonus on here. The bonus is entertainment for these animals. Sheep are very cool because they're just fun to watch. I love peeking outside my window. You can see my house right behind me. When they're on the pasture, and definitely when they're here in the backyard, it's really easy to just take a look outside while we're doing the dishes and like see what the sheep are doing. That's always really fun. Also, they keep me so busy that I don't have time to invest in another hobby that costs money. So that's another way that sheep are saving me money, is they keep me so busy and occupied that I'm not spending money in other places. With that being said, they are not cheap. I told you what some of the costs were for some of these sheep. Getting them is not cheap, and the initial setup is not cheap. I've had to reseed, I've had to get irrigation, so all the year 1, year 2 stuff can be quite expensive, but it is nice not getting into other hobbies because I got my hobby and it actually produces for me. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe. I'd love to see you on the channel. Again, if you're interested in sheep, we have tons of videos about sheep, also about the homesteading life in general. So subscribe, like the video. I'd love to see you again. Look at them. They think I'm going to give them something because I've actually spoiled them for their first year of their life. And realizing now, if you spoil your sheep, they are incredibly loud.